Who is this guy?
Who is this guy? The words came out like shattered glass, sharp, cold, lethal. Yoo In-soo stood in the doorway of the restaurant, his entire body radiating a fury so controlled it was terrifying. His jaw was clenched so tight Vanessa could see the muscle jumping. His hands were fists at his sides. His eyes, those dark, dangerous eyes that had looked at her with professional neutrality for 2 solid years, were burning with something that made her stomach drop and her heart race in equal measure. Vanessa Clarke's fork froze halfway to her mouth. The pasta dangled there, forgotten, as her brain tried to process what was happening. Her date, Marcus, smiled obliviously across the table, mid-sentence about some architectural project. He had no idea that the most dangerous man in Seoul had just walked into their Friday night. He had no idea that the temperature in the room had dropped 20 degrees. He had no idea that Vanessa's boss, her cold, distant, untouchable boss, looked ready to commit murder. And Vanessa realized with sickening, thrilling, terrifying clarity that she'd been playing with dynamite for 2 years straight. Because Yoo In-soo didn't look indifferent anymore. He didn't look professional. He didn't look like the controlled, calculating crime lord who ran half of Seoul's underground with an iron fist wrapped in expensive suits. He looked violently, desperately, dangerously jealous. And Monday morning's confrontation would change absolutely everything. Welcome back, besties. Buckle up because this forbidden romance is about to detonate your screen and leave you breathless. This isn't just a love story. It's an obsession wrapped in danger, dipped in passion, and served with a side of absolute chaos. Let's go. Vanessa Clarke had exactly 3 rules for surviving as the executive assistant to Yoo In-soo, the most dangerous man in Seoul. Rule 1, never ask questions about the men in custom-tailored suits who disappeared into his office at odd hours. Rule 2, never be late with his coffee. Black, no sugar, exactly 82 degrees, in the specific black ceramic mug he preferred. Rule 3, keep your personal life completely separate from work. She'd followed these rules religiously for 2 years, 730 days of being perfect, which is why she never expected to see him walk into Bistro Moon on a Friday night while she was on a date. Marcus was nice. An architect her cousin knew, with an easy smile and no connection to the criminal underworld, Vanessa navigated 40 hours a week, safe, normal, boring in the best possible way. This date was supposed to be her escape from the intensity of working for In-soo. Then the air changed. Vanessa felt it before she saw him. That presence that made oxygen feel thinner, made everything sharper and more dangerous. Her spine straightened automatically. Her pulse kicked up. She turned her head, and there he was. Yoo In-soo stood at the entrance, flanked by 2 guards. Black. Suit that probably cost more than her car. Hair styled with casual perfection. Face set in that neutral mask he wore in public. But his eyes. God. His eyes. Their gazes locked across the restaurant, and Vanessa felt the impact like a physical blow. His eyes were burning, furious, hurt, possessive. Every emotion he usually kept buried was right there on the surface, raw and dangerous and completely fixed on her. Then his gaze shifted to Marcus. The temperature dropped another 10 degrees. In-soo moved toward their table with predatory grace. Each step measured, controlled, but Vanessa could see the tension in his shoulders, the rigid set of his jaw. Conversations quieted. Heads turned. Even people who didn't know who he was could sense the danger. "Mr. Yoo," Vanessa said when he reached their table. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "What a surprise." "Is it?" His voice was silk, wrapped around steel. His eyes flicked to Marcus. "Introduce me." "Not a request, a command." "Marcus, Bennett," Marcus said, standing and extending his hand. "Nice to meet you." In-soo looked at Marcus's hand like it was a weapon. The handshake lasted exactly 1 second. "You In-soo, Vanessa's employer? The way he said employer was wrong. Too possessive, too weighted. Vanessa mentions you sometimes, Marcus said. She says you're very demanding. Something flickered across In-soo's face. Does she? His gaze swung back to Vanessa, pinning her. What else does she say about me? Vanessa's mouth was dry. Mr. Yoo, we're just... What else? He repeated, his voice dropping lower. More dangerous. In-soo raised one hand, cutting off whatever Marcus was about to say. Never mind. He turned that burning gaze back to Vanessa one more time, something raw and desperate swirling in those dark eyes. Then he walked to a table 3 away, sat down, ordered wine he didn't drink, and proceeded to stare at her like she was the only person in the restaurant. That was weird, Marcus said nervously. Vanessa tried to focus on Marcus. Really tried. But every cell in her body was aware of In-soo 3 tables away. She could feel his stare like a physical touch, burning into her skin. Maybe she'd been lying to herself for 2 years, pretending she didn't notice how her heart raced when he smiled at her, pretending she didn't memorize every detail about him, pretending she didn't dream about him in ways that were completely inappropriate. And now he was sitting 3 tables away, looking ready to burn the entire restaurant down. I'm sorry, Vanessa finally said. I'm not feeling well. Would you mind if we cut this short? They paid. Left. And Vanessa didn't look at In-soo's table on the way out, but she felt his eyes follow her all the way to the door, burning into her back like a brand. The weekend passed in agonizing silence. No text from In-soo, no calls, nothing, which was somehow worse than immediate confrontation. Vanessa spent Saturday cleaning with manic energy, trying not to think about the look in his eyes. Sunday was worse. She tried to sleep, failed, went for a run, came back more anxious. By Monday morning, she'd almost convinced herself she'd imagined the intensity. That Monday would be normal. She should have known better. Vanessa arrived at 8 sharp, made his coffee exactly right, knocked on his office door at 8:15. Come in. His voice was ice. In-soo sat behind his desk, backlit by floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul. He looked exactly like always. Perfect suit, immaculate hair, except for his eyes. Those eyes that had watched her with neutrality for 2 years now looked at her with barely controlled fury. Coffee, Mr. Yoo? Vanessa said, setting it down. Thank you, he said without looking at her. His fingers typed with controlled precision. Vanessa waited. When he didn't dismiss her, she asked carefully, Do you need anything else? Actually, yes. His fingers stopped. The sudden silence was deafening. He looked up. I need you to explain something. Vanessa's heart pounded. Of course. Friday night. Bistro Moon. Who was he? The world tilted sideways. I'm sorry? The man you were with, In-soo said, his tone making clear he knew she understood exactly. Who exactly was he? Vanessa felt anger flare hot in her chest. With all due respect, my personal life is my own business. Not when it affects my business, In-soo countered. Not when it puts you at risk. How does having dinner put me at risk? Because you work for me. He stood abruptly, moving around the desk into her space. Her spine hit the wall. He didn't touch her, but he was close. Too close. Because anyone associated with me is a target. Because I need to know who you're spending time with, who you're trusting, who you're... He stopped, jaw clenching. Who I'm what? Vanessa challenged. Say it. Who you're letting into your life, In-soo finished, voice rough. Who you're trusting with your time, your attention. Who I'm dating? Vanessa said flatly. Just say it. Something flashed in his eyes. Fury mixed with pain. Were you? That's none of your business. It is my business. His control shattered. You think I don't know what could happen if the wrong people found out you work for me? You think I don't spend every day making sure you're safe? And then you just go out with some random man I've never vetted. Vetted? Vanessa's voice rose. You need to approve who I date? I'm your assistant, not your property. I never said you were my property. Then stop acting like you have a right to interrogate me. They stared at each other, both breathing hard, tension crackling between them. In-soo's hands were fists. His jaw was rigid. You want details? Fine. I want to know his name, his occupation, where he lives, how you met, if this was your first date or your 10th. If he made you laugh, if he touched you, if you let him kiss you goodnight. I want to know everything because the thought of you with him is driving me insane. Vanessa stared. You're jealous. Of course I'm jealous. I'm so jealous I can barely think. I spent the entire weekend imagining ways to destroy that man's life. I'm so jealous I'm violating every boundary I've ever set. The confession hung in the air, raw and shocking. You have no right, Vanessa said, voice shaking. I know. I'm your employee. I know. This is completely inappropriate. I know. I know it's wrong. I know I have no right. I know all of it, Vanessa. And I don't care anymore because it's killing me. Vanessa's heart hammered. It was a blind date. Marcus is my cousin's friend's colleague. No chemistry, no connection. I cut it short because I couldn't stop thinking about you. The confession left her exposed. In-soo stared at her, disbelieving. Then he kissed her? Desperate, possessive, and 2 years of want compressed into one moment. His hands framed her face. Vanessa's fingers fisted in his jacket, pulling him closer. He kissed her. Like she was oxygen. Like she was everything he needed to survive. When they broke apart, gasping, he pressed his forehead to hers. I'm sorry for being jealous and possessive and crossing every line, but I'm not sorry for wanting you. I'll never be sorry for that. I want you too, Vanessa admitted, but this is complicated. Then we'll make it work anyway, he said fiercely. Just don't ask me to stop loving you because I can't. Vanessa looked at this dangerous man, looking at her like she was his world, and made her choice. Okay, she whispered. Let's try. His smile was brilliant and brief. We'll figure it out, together. 2 weeks later, Vanessa's life had transformed. By day, still his assistant, professional, efficient, but now there were stolen moments, his hand brushing hers, secret smiles, text messages that made her blush. By night, his girlfriend. A secret known only to his most trusted men and her cousin Yuki, who screamed with joy when Vanessa confessed. In-soo was possessive, always wanting to know where she was. He'd upgraded her security without asking, had his driver take her places, had bodyguards following her. It should have felt suffocating, but it didn't, because he was also tender in unexpected ways. Coffee in mornings with kisses, asking about her day and listening, notes in her apartment. Your toothbrush looks lonely without mine. He taught her Korean cooking on weekends. She taught him to appreciate rom-coms. They were building something real. One evening, In-soo asked, "Come with me to the Seoul charity gala next Friday." They were in his penthouse, her unofficial second home now. Her things everywhere. Toothbrush in his bathroom. Books on his shelves. The gala? Vanessa looked up from her reading. As my date, he clarified, not my assistant. Her heart stuttered. That's very public. I know. People will talk. Let them. Vanessa set down her work, anxiety churning. If we go public, that makes me a target. In-soo sat beside her, taking her hands. I've already increased your security. You have bodyguards. Tae-sung watching your building. Mi-jin following you. My most trusted people. I wanted you safe without feeling watched. But if we go public, security gets more visible. Your life changes. I won't do that without your permission. Vanessa thought about stepping fully into his dangerous world. What if I say no? Then we stay as we are. Secret, safe, together in private. His thumb traced patterns on her knuckles. But I want to hold your hand in public. Want to introduce you as mine. Want the world to know you're the most important person in my life. Her eyes filled with tears. You really mean that? Yeah, every word. He pulled her close. But only if you're ready. Vanessa breathed in his scent and chose. Okay, let's go. She felt him smile. You'll need a dress. A really good dress. His laugh rumbled through his chest. Already sent 3 to your apartment. You were that confident? No, but I was hopeful. The gala was overwhelming. The Shilla Hotel ballroom dripped with crystal and old money, Korea's elite in designer formal wear. Champagne flowing, photographers everywhere. Vanessa chose the emerald dress, deep green silk that made her skin glow. In-soo had sent diamonds that probably cost more than her education. She felt like an imposter. Then In-soo appeared at her apartment, and his eyes widened. Vanessa, you look... too much? Perfect. The most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Now walking into the gala on his arm, whispers started immediately. Is that Yoo In-soo? Who's the woman? Wait, isn't that his assistant? In-soo's hand tightened on her waist. He leaned down. Ignore them. I've got you. He introduced her to business associates as Vanessa Clarke, someone very important in my life. The ambiguity drove people crazy. They danced. In-soo pulled her close, and suddenly, Vanessa forgot about whispers and cameras. Thank you, he murmured, for trusting me, for being brave, for choosing me. You're worth it, Vanessa said. He kissed her forehead. Cameras flashed. By morning, their photo would be everywhere. But in that moment, Vanessa didn't care. 1 week later, the backlash came fast. By Monday, her photo was everywhere. Social media, gossip blogs, news sites. Who is Vanessa Clarke? Most was harmless curiosity. Some was cruel, comments about her not being Korean, not being appropriate, speculation about gold digging. In-soo was furious. Had his tech people scrub what they could, threatened legal action. But Vanessa knew it wouldn't stop. This was the price of being with him publicly. Wednesday evening, she was leaving work late. In-soo's driver was supposed to pick her up, but she'd said she'd walk 3 blocks to the coffee shop. She needed air. 2 blocks in, she felt it. Someone following her. She sped up. So did they. Turned a corner. They followed. Her heart pounded. She reached for her phone when someone grabbed her arm. Vanessa screamed. Quiet! A man hissed in Korean. We just want to talk. Let go. Suddenly, he was gone. Ripped away by a woman who moved too fast to track. Mijin, her security detail. Within seconds, 4 of In-soo's people surrounded her. The man was on the ground. Are you hurt? Mijin asked in English. Just scared. Who was he? We'll find out. Mr. Yoo is coming. In-soo arrived in under 5 minutes. He'd never looked so terrified. His hands were on her face, her shoulders, checking for injuries with shaking hands. Are you hurt? Did he hurt you? I'm okay, Vanessa said, then burst into tears. In-soo pulled her into his arms, holding her so tight. She felt him shaking. I'm sorry. This is my fault. I should have had more security. This isn't your fault. It is. You were right. Going public made you a target. I was selfish. But they didn't get me, Vanessa interrupted. Your people protected me. I'm safe. This time, but what about next time? Then we deal with it together. We face it together. In-soo looked at her like she was insane. You were just attacked. You should be running. I'm not leaving you. I'm scared, but I'm not leaving. I don't deserve you. Probably not, but you're stuck with me anyway. Hey, besties. If you're as obsessed with this dangerous love story as I am, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe because trust me, this story's about to get even more intense. We've got proposals, babies, and so much more coming. Don't miss it. Now back to the story. The man was interrogated, then turned over to police. He'd been hired by a rival organization to send a message. Your weaknesses can be exploited. In-soo took it seriously. Tripled security. Started driving Vanessa himself. Moved her into his penthouse temporarily. The arrangement became permanent within a week. Living together was different. More intimate. Real. Vanessa saw him exhausted from late meetings. Stressed about deals. Nursing. Headaches. She saw him wake from nightmares, saw scars that told stories. But she also saw him at his best, sleepy and soft in mornings before his mask went up, laughing at terrible TV, dancing with her in the kitchen while dinner cooked. She learned he read literary fiction before bed, had his mother's recipes in a worn notebook, had a sister in London he called every Sunday. He learned she sang in the shower, off-key and unashamed, stress-baked when anxious, talked in her sleep about deadlines and occasionally about him. They learned each other, fell deeper. 6 months later, Vanessa was reviewing contracts when In-soo appeared in the doorway. "Busy?" he asked. "Not particularly. Why?" "I made dinner reservations. I have contracts due tomorrow. They can wait." He leaned against her desk. "Trust me, this is important." He looked nervous. Yoo In-soo, who negotiated with dangerous people without flinching, looked nervous. "Okay, where are we going?" "You'll see." 20 minutes. Later, they pulled up to Bistro Moon, where it all started. Vanessa laughed. "Really?" "Where it all began," In-soo agreed. Inside, the restaurant was empty except for staff. "Did you rent it out?" "I bought it 3 months ago. Thought it was fitting." "You're ridiculous." They sat at the same table, the same one where In-soo had seen her with Marcus and lost his mind. "I was such an idiot," In-soo said. "Showing up here, demanding to know who you were with. You were a complete idiot, but you loved me anyway." "I did. I do." They ordered the same dishes from that first night, talked and laughed, reminiscing. But In-soo was distracted, kept touching his jacket pocket, checking his watch. Finally, over dessert, he stood. "Vanessa," he said, voice steady despite trembling hands. 6 months ago, I walked into this restaurant and saw you with another man, and I thought my world was ending. I was jealous and possessive and out of line. But I was also falling in love with you." He moved around the table and dropped to one knee. Vanessa's breath caught. "You've changed everything," he continued, pulling out a velvet box. "Made me want to be better. Made me clean up parts of my business, cut ties with dangerous people, made me believe in a future that isn't just about power and survival. You've made me believe in us." He opened the box. A stunning diamond ring caught the light. "Vanessa Clarke, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving that falling in love with you was the smartest thing I've ever done? Will you build a family with me? Grow old with me? Put up with my jealous nonsense for the next 50 years? Vanessa was crying, nodding. "Is that a yes?" he asked, hopeful and terrified. "Yes. Of course yes, you ridiculous man." In-soo slid the ring on with shaking hands and stood, pulling her into his arms and kissing her like she was his oxygen. When they broke apart, Vanessa said breathlessly, 6 months ago, you were interrogating me. Now you're proposing." "I know. I'm possessive and jealous and probably going to drive you crazy." "Definitely going to drive me crazy," Vanessa corrected, smiling so wide her face hurt. "But I love you more than I thought I could love anyone. I promise I'll spend every day proving you made the right choice. I know I did, because you're mine and I'm yours. And this crazy, impossible love is the best thing that ever happened to us." In-soo kissed her again. 1 year later, they married. Small and private, just close friends and family at a venue outside Seoul. Vanessa wore a dress that made In-soo cry. He wore a traditional hanbok that made her breath catch. They exchanged vows in English and Korean. In-soo's sister flew in from London. Yuki served as maid of honor and cried through everything. It was perfect. The honeymoon was 2 weeks in Bali. They swam, ate incredible food, made love on the beach, laughed about how cliché and wonderful it was. They talked about the future, about the family they wanted, about In-soo's transition to legitimate businesses. "I want to be someone our kids can be proud of," he said one night, hand on her stomach. "Someone who doesn't have to hide. You're already someone I'm proud of, but I love that you want to be better." 3 months after the wedding, Vanessa started feeling off. Tired, nauseous, emotional. She bought a pregnancy test, a hands shaking as she paid. That evening, while In-soo was in a meeting, she locked herself in the bathroom and took it. 2 pink lines appeared immediately. Pregnant. Vanessa stared, tears streaming. Happy tears. They talked about kids, but she hadn't expected it so quickly. She heard the front door. Vanessa? Where are you? Bathroom. Are you okay? She opened the door, holding up the test. In-soo froze, eyes wide. Is that positive we're having a baby? For a moment, he just stood there. Then he was lifting her, spinning her around, laughing and crying. We're having a baby. We're going to be parents. Are you happy? Happy? He cupped her face, eyes wet. Vanessa, I don't have words. Yes. I'm terrified and thrilled. He dropped to his knees, hands on her stomach. Hi, baby. I'm your appa, and I already love you so much. Vanessa's heart shattered and rebuilt. 7 months later, Vanessa was gloriously pregnant, due any day. In-soo was losing his mind. He'd hired the best obstetrician, prepared the nursery, read every parenting book, practiced swaddling until perfect. He barely left her side. In-soo, I'm fine. Relax. I'll relax when our daughter is here and healthy. They'd found out they were having a girl 3 months ago. In-soo had sobbed. Vanessa's water broke Tuesday afternoon. She was reading when she felt the gush. In-soo? He appeared in seconds. What's wrong? My water just broke. In-soo went pale, then red, then pale. Okay. Hospital. Bags packed. Car's ready. I'll call Dr. Kim. Should you sit? Lie down? What? In-soo? She grabbed his hand. Breathe. We have time. Right. Time. Okay. Let's go have our baby. Labor was 14 hours. In-soo held Vanessa's hand through every second. He was amazing. Didn't complain when she squeezed hard enough to bruise. Wiped her forehead. Told her she was strong and beautiful even when she screamed this was his fault. Finally, their daughter was born. The doctor placed her on Vanessa's chest. Tiny, perfect, screaming. Hi, baby, Vanessa whispered through tears. Hi, sweet girl. We've been waiting for you. In-soo was crying too, hand gently touching their daughter's head. She's perfect, Vanessa. She's perfect. She is. What should we name her? In-soo looked at his daughter, at his wife, at the family he'd built. Soojin. It means precious truth. Because she's precious, and she's the truth that love can come from the most unexpected places. Soojin, Vanessa repeated. Perfect. Hi, Soojin. I'm your mama, and this is your appa, who loves you more than anything. In-soo kissed Vanessa's forehead, then their daughter's, tears falling freely. Thank you. For this. For her. For choosing me. For building this life with me. Always. We're in this together. Forever. And as she held their daughter with In-soo's arms around them both, Vanessa thought about how far they'd come. From that first night when he'd walked into a restaurant and lost his mind with jealousy. From the explosive confrontation in his office. From the fear and danger and uncertainty to this, a family, a future, a love that had survived every obstacle and come out stronger. It wasn't the life she'd planned, but it was the life she'd choose every single time. Sometimes, the person who shows up at your date isn't interrupting your love story. They're starting it. Vanessa thought she could keep her life separate from her dangerous boss. In-soo thought he could keep his feelings under control. They were both spectacularly, beautifully wrong. Because love doesn't follow rules, or respect boundaries, or care about danger. It just is. And when it's real, when it's worth fighting for, it transforms everything. If you made it to the end of this story, you're the real MVP. Make sure to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button for more addictive romance stories. And drop a comment below telling me, what would you do if your boss confessed they were in love with you? Have you ever had someone get violently jealous over you? What would you name your baby if you were in Vanessa's shoes? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.